Hey loves, welcome to the channel. If you're meeting me for the first time, my name is Daniel and you're welcome to the channel. We're going to be checking out this particular interesting video, and this particular one is titled What Americans Were Benefiting in the 1980s and Now They Are Illegal. So we're going to be checking out this video. Don't go anywhere. Like, subscribe, and also share this video to your friends and loved ones. If you love what we do on the channel, please don't hesitate to support the channel with the little you can. You can join our membership where you get exclusive perks from us on the channel. So without further ado, let's dive into the main reaction.
The late 1980s was a great time to be alive. There was MTV and Nintendo, but kids were still spending much of their time outdoors. This was a decade full of unforgettable details that would never be allowed to happen in today's world. These things were completely normal. So let's take a look back at all the things we did back in 1988 that are now illegal. In the 1980s, seatbelt use was more of a suggestion than a rule, and many people rode in cars completely unrestrained. Some drivers resisted wearing seatbelts because they were uncomfortable, and it was considered an infringement on personal freedom. However, studies from the late 1970s and early 1980s showed that wearing seatbelts reduced injuries and deaths in car accidents. New York became the first state to require seatbelt use in 1984, and by the early 1990s, all states except New Hampshire had a seatbelt law in place. But even after laws had been passed, only about half the population was using them on a regular basis. Not buckling up was common practice during the 1980s, but it is now strictly enforced, and hefty fines ensure compliance. Cigarette vending machines were everywhere in the 1980s, found in restaurants, gas stations, bowling alleys, and even hotel lobbies. These machines made it easy for anyone, regardless of age, to purchase cigarettes, often with no oversight. As concerns over teenage smoking grew, efforts to restrict access to these machines increased. By the 1990s, many states had begun enacting laws to remove them from public places, and the Family Smoking Prevention and Tobacco Control Act of 2009 effectively banned cigarette vending machines altogether. Today, what was once a routine way to buy cigarettes is now nearly extinct, reflecting the larger decline in smoking rates and stricter regulations on tobacco sales. The 1980s were the golden age of aerosol sprays, with products like Aquanet playing a crucial role in creating the era's iconic big hair. Deodorants, air fresheners, and spray paints were also widely used, without much thought about their environmental impact. That is until a hole in the ozone layer was discovered in 1985.
And now the ozone layer. The Environmental Protection Agency formalized a plan today that this country and 23 others agreed to in Montreal in September. A plan to freeze the production and use of the chemicals believed to be damaging the ozone layer, which protects us from the sun's dangerous rays.
And scientists linked it to the use of chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, found in aerosol sprays. In 1987, an international agreement was signed, leading to the global phase-out of CFCs. And by the early 1990s, most aerosol products had switched to safer alternatives. Today, the hole in the ozone layer is healing, and you don't hear much about it, and the popular aerosol sprays of the 1980s are a thing of the past. If you watched our last video, you'll know we teamed up with Legacy Box for a special giveaway. You can win a 40-item Legacy Box kit, a 1,000-item photo Legacy Box, and a $250 Visa gift card. So watch until the end of this video, or scan this QR code now. In the 1980s, most packaged foods had little to no nutritional information, leaving consumers unaware of how much sugar, fat, or sodium they were eating. People often made food choices based on taste and marketing, rather than any health considerations. The rise in obesity and related illnesses in the 1980s and early 1990s led to increased demand for transparency in food labeling. This led Congress to pass the Nutrition Labeling and Education Act in 1990, requiring food manufacturers to include standardized nutrition facts on most products. By 1994, the familiar black and white nutrition label became a standard feature on grocery store items, helping consumers make more informed dietary choices. Speaking of nutrition, the peanut butter sandwich was the ultimate go-to school lunch in the 1980s, packed by millions of parents without a second thought. At the time, allergies to peanuts were relatively rare, and schools had no policy restricting peanut products. However, as peanut allergies grew in the 1990s and early 2000s, the risks of severe allergic reactions became widely recognized. Schools then began implementing some safety protocols, but it eventually led to a full peanut ban in many school districts across the United States. Dodgeball was a playground and gym class favorite in the 1980s, allowing kids to test their speed, agility, and throwing skills. While many students loved the game, others dreaded it, as stronger players often targeted weaker ones, leading to complaints of bullying. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, concerns over injuries and the game's aggressive nature led many schools to ban dodgeball altogether. Some educators argued that the game encouraged physical intimidation rather than fitness, leading to it being banned from many curriculums nationwide. In the 1980s, three-wheeled all-terrain vehicles became incredibly popular for both recreational riding and utility use. Companies like Honda, Yamaha, and Suzuki marketed them as fun machines, making them appeal to riders of all ages. However, they were unstable, caused by the single front wheel and high center of gravity, leading to a high number of accidents, mainly rollovers that resulted in serious injuries and deaths. As reports of accidents mounted, the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission took action, leading to a voluntary agreement with manufacturers in 1988 to stop producing three-wheeled ATVs. While existing models were not recalled, production shifted entirely to more stable four-wheelers that remain the industry standard today.
When I was your age, my dad shared a beer with me, and I thought it was about the best thing in the world.
In the 1980s, it was a rite of passage for some parents to let their kids have their first taste of beer. For some, it was just one drink, while others might get an entire can. It was kind of seen as a bonding moment, with some believing it would reduce their curiosity. However, research in the 1990s and 2000s showed that early alcohol exposure increased the likelihood of drinking problems in adulthood. At the same time, laws against providing alcohol to minors became stricter, and what was once a casual tradition turned into a legal risk for beer-drinking parents. Pez dispensers were a beloved and collectible treat in the 1980s, featuring fun characters and brightly colored candies. However, those tiny colorful sweets contained artificial dyes like red dye 3 and yellow dye 5, which later became controversial due to potential health risks. Studies linked red dye 3 to cancer in lab animals, prompting the FDA to ban its use in cosmetics in 1990, though it remained legal in food, which seems crazy. Yellow dye 5 was also criticized for possibly contributing to hyperactivity in children, and it has been banned in many European countries along with California. While Pez and other candies still contain artificial coloring, increased awareness of food dye risks has led some brands to rethink the synthetic colors they add to their products. Before SUVs and minivans took over, station wagons were the family car of choice, and their spacious cargo area made perfect play and nap spaces for kids on long road trips. With seatbelts being optional, children would often stretch out in the back and get comfortable. However, as crash studies began to show dangers, car seats and seatbelt laws became more strict in the 1990s. By the mid-90s, all passengers, including those in the back, were required to wear seatbelts, bringing an end to the era of carefree road trip lounging. In the 1980s, fur coats were a status symbol, usually worn by celebrities or other fashionable wealthy women. Mink, fox, and rabbit fur coats were seen as luxurious. However, animal rights activism gained momentum later in the decade, with groups like PETA leading protests against the fur industry, and it brought widespread awareness to the issue. And by the 2000s, many fashion brands had stopped using real fur completely. Today, faux fur and other ethical alternatives have largely replaced traditional fur coats. Kids used to spend a lot of time entertaining themselves, and in the 1980s, they often did this by coming up with harmless pranks. Think prank phone calls, toilet papering houses, and even throwing eggs at homes and cars. Then came caller ID in the 1990s, making anonymous prank calls easier to track. At the same time, TPing and egging, once seen as mischievous fun, began to be classified as vandalism, leading to expensive fines and even criminal charges. And today, many homes have cameras to monitor their property, which deters pranksters even further.
People can't get over the change in me. I guess it's just that I feel so good about myself now. What happened is I went on a diet, and it worked. I took Dexatrim and I lost weight, and that really made me happy.
Dexatrim people, they not only try to lose weight, they succeed.
Dexatrim used to be one of the most popular ways to lose weight in the 1980s. It was a diet pill, promising some pretty quick weight loss results without much effort. Dexatrim's active ingredient was later linked to an increased risk of strokes, and in 2000, the FDA banned the chemical in diet pills and cold medications, leading to the original formula of Dexatrim to be banned. Although it was reformulated, the risks associated with diet pills in general have made products like Dexatrim far less popular today. Recollection Road and Legacy Box both believe it's important to keep memories alive, and we want you to experience just how simple it can be with a massive giveaway. Win a 40-item Legacy Box kit, a 1,000 photos Legacy Box, and a $250 Visa gift card. That's an $1,800 value. Now is your chance to bring your memories back to life for free. Legacy Box makes it simple, safe, and stress-free to digitize those treasured moments. Over 1 million people trust Legacy Box to preserve their home movies and photos, and all the work is done right here in the USA.
Wow, this is another interesting one from this lady, and I actually love the fact that I have to dispute the fact between the the things that have been accepted in 1980s, but now presently in our generation 2025, it's now something that is banned. Now, if you check back at if you can actually rewind time, you will actually be appreciative of what all these actually offer, because if you look at it now, if you definitely just do all this in America, then you are going to be persecuted severely for it. But presently now, all these are something that is seen as a crime in the United States. But previously in the 1980s, it was seen as something that is usual. So I think our parents back then actually enjoyed some of these benefits more than we right now, and it's actually a good one for bringing out things that were accepted as seen as natural in 1980s, but now they are banned. So thank you for watching to this very moment. Please don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, share this video to your friends and loved ones. If you love what we do on the channel and you want to support, why not click on the support um, button in the comment section, or you join our membership to get exclusive perks from us. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. Do well to stay put, stay safe, and stay subscribed. From me to you, it's bye for now.